Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to episode number 3 of Liam's Fight Night Picks. I'm absolutely delighted to say that my guest here on week number 3 is Jams from the Boxing Media Hub. How are we, buddy?
I am good, thank you, Liam, mate. It's a pleasure to be on your show. Thank you for having me, sir.
Absolutely fantastic to have you, mate. Obviously, we interact quite a bit on socials. It's good to finally get you on and talk some fights with you.
Appreciate it, mate.
So, as we were saying off camera, it's a bit of a come down, isn't it, from Wembley last weekend? Obviously, the buzz of that fight week and everything that comes with it. We come back to a more traditional week, I think is the best way to word it. If you're a proper boxing nut, like I count ourselves both as being, then you're going to enjoy this weekend, but not as much for your casual fans, but there's still some good fights out there.
There is, mate. Yeah, there is. I'm looking forward to a lot of the fights this week. I'm a massive Terry Harper fan, so having Terry Harper fighting, I know it's a tough one against Rhiannon. We're going to get into that, so I won't go into too much. But yeah, I'm a huge fan of hers. And coming back down to the weight that she's at, I think suits her better. So we'll get into that later.
Yeah, we'll get into that, mate. But yeah, as the title sort of says on the video, it's a cross-Atlantic tour. We go from York Hill to Sheffield to Florida to MSG and then back to Sheffield. So there's plenty going on. But we'll get started, mate. Friday night in Sheffield on the GMB show, we have Mould taking on Ryan Walsh. It's over 10 rounds at lightweight. It's for the WBA global title. Ranking belt, not really worth a lot, but hey, it's on the line for the fighters. It all counts. When you look at Mould, this is his first outing since November last year when he lost to Gary Cully on a split decision. He's a former British title challenger as well. Obviously stopped by Lee Woods back during the pandemic when Wood was on that incredible run. Yeah. What do you make of Mould? Obviously, this is his 21st fight of his career now. You'd like to think that if he wins this one, there's another British title shot potentially waiting for him. But is it a case of he's at a level, but he can never go any further? What do we really make?
I pretty much agree with what you just said, Liam, mate. Yeah, he's a decent fighter. I've got a lot of respect for him, as I do all fighters, but he has failed at every attempt to go above his level. You know what I mean? Like the Gary Cully, Lee Wood, he's lost every meaningful fight that he's been in, basically. Like big, stepping above his own level. I think he's a mid-level British fighter, and that's where he'll end up. This is a tough ass though against Ryan Walsh, because Ryan Walsh is nobody's mug. He's never been stopped. He don't come to play around. He comes to fight. And this could be difficult for Mould. It could be very difficult.
Yeah, I agree with you, mate. And that's something I was about to get into. So obviously, as I mentioned, this WBA global title on the line obviously gives the winner a top 15 ranking with the WBA. And we're not saying here that either fighter is going to push on for world honours. And we mean that in the greatest respects to both lads, but they're not potential future world title challengers. The interesting thing for me with Mould is he obviously trains with Sean O'Hagan out in Leeds. And despite losing to Gary Cully, I was very impressed with his performance. He had that high energy, high tempo that we see from Josh Warrington. And if that's the level that he brings to this fight, then I do wonder if Ryan Walsh is going to be able to cope with it. Moving on to Ryan Walsh, he is 38 years old now. It's only his second fight since losing to Maxie Hughes back in March of 2023. The one fight he did have was a 4-rounder, kind of a blow away the cobwebs at the end of last year. But again, we talk about British titles. He's an outright holder of the Lord Lonsdale belt after winning it down at featherweight, albeit back 2015 to 2017 that reign was. What do we make of Ryan Walsh? Obviously, 38 now. You've got to think he's outside of his natural weight division as well. Is this him rolling the dice one last time, seeing if he can come up with an ace?
I think it is, mate. Yeah, I think he's just trying his luck. He's against a younger guy, but he's a tough man. Like we said, he's never been stopped. He's got 28 wins, 4 losses, 2 draws, but no one's ever stopped him. Not TKO, not knockout, he's never disqualified. He fights to the death every time, and I think he'll do the same here. He lost to Maxie Hughes, he's lost to James Dickens, Dennis Seelan, he lost to the great Lee Selby, who was a very underrated fighter in my opinion. He drew with Ronnie Clark, Isaac Lowe. I just think, I don't know, I've just got a feeling Ryan Walsh might roll back a few years here and put on a spectacle for us, and I think he might do something here. I've just got a feeling.
Yeah, mate, I completely agree with you. We'll move on to our predictions now. So for myself in this fight, I've got to be honest, I'm unsure what Ryan Walsh has left. 38 years old, only won 4-rounder since in the last year and a half. That's a lot of ringing activity, and we saw it have an effect on Josh Warrington last Saturday night, undoubtedly. And if that's the case, I don't think Mould will be able to stop him, but I think he will get a wide points decision victory. And then he's obviously got a rankings belt, and we'll see what comes next for him. How about yourself?
Yeah, to be honest, that would have been my usual prediction, to be fair. But I don't know. I've just got a feeling Ryan Walsh just might turn up and do something. So I'm going to go for a sneaky one. I'm going to go Ryan Walsh takes it on points. I've just got a sneaky feeling, mate. I'm just going to put it out there. Why not?
It wouldn't surprise me at all if it happened. Absolutely, you can see a path to victory for Ryan Walsh, but everything sort of seems to favour Reece Mould in this fight. We'll move on to Saturday's matchroom card for the next fight, and we'll have a look at Peter McGrail taking on Brad Foster. This is over 10 rounds at super bantamweight. Peter McGrail, as we know, outstanding, highly decorated amateur career, turned over a couple of years ago now. He's 9-1, obviously still recovering, you would say, from that absolute howitzer of a knockout he took in December last year on the Sonny Edwards, Ban Rodriguez undercards. He's had one fight since then, and he moved through the gears, didn't he, for 10 rounds? He got a points decision victory, and he done what you expect to see Peter McGrail do. It's obvious what his skill set is. Would you say if he comes through this fight on Saturday night, he needs to be looking to make the step up towards British title level after this?
Yeah, definitely. Well, he took on that Jericho O'Quinn fight, and he was expected to do okay in that. I know it was a big jump, but he was taken hard, wasn't he? It was disappointing to watch. But yeah, Brad Foster's no easy target. You know, he's not a light work fighter. He's going to come, he's going to put it on him. But again, I think it's about levels, and I think Peter McGrail is just that couple of levels above Liam, in my opinion.
Yeah. Mate, I couldn't disagree with you. I mean, McGrail had won every minute of every round of his fight until he was put on his back and completely flatlined, wasn't he? So you would have to say that was a punch from the gods that he was caught with. He was in control of the fight, and he's a very good fighter. Obviously, that rematch was meant to happen. Didn't happen. Mark Leach stepped in at short notice, and he done what he had to do, getting the 10-round win. We just mentioned Brad Foster. He's obviously 15-3-2 in his career. It's his first fight this year. His last fight was a points decision loss to Reece Edwards last November. So he's had a bit of time out of the ring. Obviously, the thing that stands out on Foster's record for me is a former British, Commonwealth and European title challenger. He lost a very razor-thin decision to Jason Cunningham, one of the first shows we saw with crowds back after lockdown. I'm sure you remember.
Yeah, I remember.
Again, that was 2021. We're now in 2024. He's coming off of a period of 10-month inactivity, mixed in with some defeats anytime he steps up. What is Brad Foster's aims for this fight? Is he looking to go in the fight and see if he can last the 10 rounds and not be stopped? Or is that doing him a disservice?
To be honest, he'll believe he can win. He'll come in there thinking he can win, but I think we all know he's probably not going to. But he'll try. He'll give it his all. He's lost to Reece Edwards, didn't he? He lost to, was it Lioness Beluta as well? He lost to.
He lost to Beluta straight after the loss for all the belts I just mentioned. He then lost to Beluta on the decision as well.
So he's been in there with some tough dogs, man. He knows how to, get in there, mix it up. But I think we all know McGrail's just going to be too skillful for him. And I've just got a feeling this could be an absolute masterclass from McGrail, getting back to world level again, like to the level he was at before he lost to O'Quinn. And I think he's going to put a bit of a show on and make Brad Foster, unfortunately, look a bit ordinary.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. So you're going for McGrail by decision, or do you think he'll get stoppage?
Massive decision. I think it'll be a massive decision. Massive decision.
Yeah, mate, I'm in agreement with you. I think it'll be a very wide, unanimous decision. I don't really see him being tested, unfortunately, for Brad Foster. I hope he can give us a better fight we're anticipating, but McGrail's cream, isn't he? He's going to rise up for me in this fight.
Really is. Yeah. Really is. I'd love to see him back in with O'Quinn at some point. I must say that before we move on, because
O'Quinn was
like you said, it was a lucky punch, man.
Yeah, so O'Quinn withdrew for the fight in July for personal reasons, and we haven't seen him since. So whatever those personal reasons are, we hope he's well. And if he does get back into the ring, we do want to see him run it back. Absolutely.
100%, Liam. 100%.
Yeah, so for our first main event out of all the ones we're going to cover this weekend, we're going to look back to the GMB show on Friday night. We have Shaquille Thompson taking on River Wilson Bent. This is over 10 rounds. And again, there's a couple of meaningless belts on it in the form of the WBO global title and the IBF European title. So not the real European title. This is a ranking belts one for the governing bodies to earn their 3%, as we all have our opinions on. In terms of Thompson, he's unbeaten. He's 12-0. It's his third outing of the year. He picks up these belts beating Vladimir Gregorov in April this year. Georgiev, sorry. Apologies.
That's okay, mate.
It's good to see that Thompson's being active, and obviously third fight this year. As a prospect coming through, you want to have as many fights as possible. And you would say that Wilson Bent is a step up from previous levels, wouldn't you? Obviously, Wilson Bent, he's been in and lost to Tyler Denny. He's been in and lost with Hamza Shiraz. He's been in and lost with Amo Williams. So every time he steps up, he's lost. But would you agree it's a step up for Thompson this on Friday night?
Oh, 100%, Liam. Yeah, that's what I was going to. My first point about Shaq was going to be, I like him as a fighter. He's very good looking, 12-0. He looks sharp, but he hasn't really fought anyone. That Vladimir Georgiev is his best win. That says it all. Because if you ask anyone no one would know who Georgiev is. So this is a big step up for Shaq, fighting the Coventry man in River Wilson Bent. He's been in, like you said, with all the top dogs. He drew with S.A. Smith, who's just got himself a little scrap, didn't he? So he's a very decent operator, is River Wilson. It's just whether he's got that power. He's got 7 knockouts from his 17 wins, hasn't he? But I don't know. I've just got a feeling Shaq might steamroller him. I hope I'm wrong, because I'm local to River Wilson. I've got a lot of time for him. But I've just got a feeling Shaq might show us something new here and just steamroll him, although he's never fought at this kind of level.
I mean, for me, mate, I think the reason we're seeing Wilson Bent in there is because he's durable. In his defeats, he's never. Ammo Williams was the first time we seen him stopped, as far as I'm aware. He's a very durable fighter, and that was in the 8th or 9th round against Ammo Williams. It's not like
Shiraz done him in 2 as well, didn't he? And Shiraz done him. But Shiraz just done bloody Tyler Denny in 2.
So he's a very durable opponent. So part of me is thinking, is he also being built in to give Shaq rounds? Because he's had a lot of either blowouts where he finishes it early, or even when he's gone the distance, he's won every single round of the fight. So I think Wilson Bent will give him rounds, will give him different pictures to figure out. I'm just unsure what he brings to the fight in terms of if he can actually do enough to test Thompson or make him think that he's actually in a bit of a fight here, if that makes sense.
Yeah, he'll probably be more like just testing his style, you know what I mean? Like the avoidance. You know what River Wilson Bent can be like? He likes to stick and move sometimes. Like he get his fight against, was it Matt McCallum last time? Was it Matt McCallum he fought last time? A lot of people thought he actually lost that fight. What did you think to that?
I was just going to come on to that. So obviously, Wilson Bent has had 2 wins and a draw this year. For me, it's a win and 2 draws. He could have lost that last fight, but at best, it was a draw for him. So he's not on the best run of form. But you never know. Everyone's writing him off. He knows why he's been brought up to Sheffield for this fight, and it may bring out the best of him. But we'll move on to a prediction, mate. I'll come to you first.
Yeah, I'm going to go for Shaquille Thompson. I think he's going to steamroll him. I think he might knock him out. And I think it might be within 6.
Okay, well, for me, Thompson's on an upward curve. Absolutely, no doubt about it. Wilson Bent, as we said, he struggled against a certain level of opposition. We're not saying that Shaq's there yet, but this could be when we find out that he is at a similar level to where Wilson Bent's come unstuck before. I believe it will be a stoppage, but because of the durability of Wilson Bent, I think it will come in the second half of the fight. But I do think Thompson will get a stoppage and hopefully move on towards Brad Pauls for the British title in the first part of 2025. That's what I'd like to see.
Yes, I'd love to see that, mate. Love the Nuki bomb. I would love to see that fight.
Deserves it as well. 2 absolute wars with Nathan Heaney, and he now deserves a homecoming of sorts, doesn't he?
And he won both, in my opinion.
Yeah, no doubt about it for me. We will move on to York Hall on Friday night, which I'm very lucky to be attending. Thanks to Hawkan and yourself for the draw with myself and that ticket. I'm thoroughly looking forward to another visit to York Hall. And it is Thomas Essomba against Charlie Edwards. This is 12 rounds at bantamweight. Now, this is for the legitimate EBU bantamweight title. So this is a European title fight. Very much looking forward to it. It's Essomba's second defense to the belt. He won it last year. He's managed by Sonny Edwards, just to add a mix to the fight. Sonny Edwards, however, did beat Essomba comfortably back during COVID time. So if you want to talk about the level Essomba's been at, there's your answer. What do we make of this fight? Obviously, Essomba is the champion, but he is 36 years old. And he has always come unstuck at a certain level. He's lost to Sonny, he's lost to Lee McGregor, he's lost to Jay Harris. What do we reckon? Is he lucky to be the European champion going into this, and he's going to come unstuck on Friday night?
I wouldn't say lucky, because he had to win it to keep the belt. He had to do it. So I wouldn't say lucky. I'd say he's not the level you'd expect. But people do have the crest of a wave later in their career. Look at Ash Lane. He did it. He held the British and Commonwealth, even after so many losses. You can still do it. And Essomba's testament to that. He's got 8 defeats, 1 draw, 13 wins. He's earned this. He's earned the right to be here. But for me, this is a step too far. It's family feud. Sonny's already beat him. I think Charlie's going to do the same. And I can see nothing but a Charlie Edwards win, and probably quite comfortable on points as well. I just think he's just going to be too much.
Yeah, mate. So we'll move on to Charlie, as you just teed it up nicely for me. Charlie's 19-1, 7 knockouts. Second outing of the year for him. Second time under the Wasserman, so Salem Brothers promotion, and obviously Stephen Smith as well. He's the former WBC flyweight world champion. Obviously, we know, and if you're in the know within boxing, you know the struggles he's had outside of the ring. We know how hard he had to fight to mentally get himself back into a position to want to get in the boxing gym. Never mind go through the rigmarole of a training camp. For me, he's a very slick boxer when he's at his best, and he has the ability to make a fight look very easy. He's him and Sonny are very similar in that respect. So I'd say Sonny has more of the skills, but Charlie isn't far behind. If he wants to dance around an opponent for 12 rounds, he can do it. However, the big question mark for me going into this fight is inactivity. So as I've just mentioned, Charlie fought in April this year, but before that, he'd only had 1 6-rounder when he was based up in Manchester with Joe Gallagher before 2019. So could inactivity play a role in this fight? Obviously, as limited as we believe Essomba is at this level, he has been active. This is his 3rd fight of this year and his 5th fight in the last 14 months. So he is a much more active opponent, isn't he?
Yeah, he is, mate. Yeah, he is. Charlie looked all right though against, was it Georges all right last time?
Yeah, he done the business over 10 rounds, didn't he? Blew off the corporates.
Yeah, he looked pretty slick. He looked just like his old self. I've got a lot of belief in him. I think he's not quite, as you said already, Liam, that he's not quite Sonny's level, but he's not massively behind either. I think he could reach that level if he's trained right and he can keep his mind together, you know, keep everything going, ticking over well. I think he could become something very special, that division. I really do. And I think he beats Essomba. I genuinely believe, even though Essomba's a danger man, you know, especially at the minute, I still believe that he'll beat him. I think Charlie Edwards is just too good. And I think you're going to see a cracking fight on Friday, Mason.
Yeah, mate, I completely agree. And I've had a few interactions with Charlie over social media during his training camp. And a fighter is always going to say they're flying, but there's something about reading his messages. You believe he's absolutely flying. He believes this is his time. And the fact that it's his brother that manages Thomas Essomba just is that little bit of extra spice for him. An interesting fact about Thomas Essomba for you, mate. So he made his debut in 2009 and he lost that fight. He then didn't fight again until 2014. So he made his debut in 2009 and lost, and then didn't fight again until 2014, which when I was doing my research into this, I found a bit mental to have that period of time between debut and continuing his career. But we'll move on to prediction. You've already said yours already, so you're going for a wide unanimous decision for Charlie Edwards?
Yeah, definitely, Liam. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I'm the same. He's the more polished boxer. He's a higher skill level. His boxing IQ is going to be too much for Thomas Essomba. He could have him in riddles, I think, for me. It could become quite a one-sided beatdown in that respect. So I don't believe we'll see a stoppage. If we do, maybe through Essomba's corner, deciding to save him for another day as opposed to a punch we see in the ring. But we're going to hear and the new European champion for me, and that'll be Charlie Edwards on Friday night. Absolutely. Yep. Live on Channel 5 as well. A bit of free boxing. Got to enjoy the boxing on Channel 5.
Can't go wrong with a bit of Friday night boxing, mate, especially when it's on Channel 5. You can't go wrong.
No, absolutely, mate. So we will move on. It's all about the girls, as we said this weekend. There's cracking female fights taking place. And we're going to go to Florida, Atlanta, Florida for Friday night. We have Alicia Baumgardner and Delphine Persoon, 10 rounds for the IBO and WBC super featherweight world titles. Obviously, Persoon is best known to a British boxing audience for her 2 fantastic fights with Katie Taylor. Baumgardner is known for what she done to Terry Harper when she absolutely iced her on her feet a few years back. But I do have to bring it up. It's the first time we've seen Alicia Baumgardner fight since last year, where in the aftermath of her fight, she failed a drugs test.
Yeah.
Now, she has been proven that it was an unintentional positive test. What that means to the uneducated is she didn't intentionally look to take performance-enhancing drugs.
Yeah.
So
Same as Canelo. Same as Canelo. Contaminated juice or sauce or whatever it is.
Yeah, whatever. So she is held on to all of her belts, which are the IBF, the IBO, the WBO, and the WBC. However, we only see the WBC and the WBC and the IBO on the line in this fight. So, what do you make of that? She's been cleared, but she's only defending 2 of her world titles.
Very odd to me. I don't understand it, to be honest. That's the one thing I don't really understand about this fight. Why are they all not on the line? Or did she have two belts at 2 other weights? Was it a different weight, and that's why? I'm
from looking on BoxRec today. She holds all these belts at super feather.
Okay. I did wonder if I don't understand then. To be honest, I don't follow Baumgardner no more because of the failed drugs. I hate that sort of thing, and I've kind of not watched her since. I've not really kept an eye on her. So
she's not fought since the failed test. This is her first fight since that failed test. So she's had a 14-month layoff, which is the biggest period of inactivity in her career. So I suppose my next question is, inactivity mixed with scandal. She was the best super featherweight in the world before the positive test. But how has that affected her, would you say? Would you say the inactivity coupled with the scandal could play a factor?
It could do, but I don't know. She seems like, even with the failed test, she's a consummate professional. You know, you always see like sparring videos. I try not to watch them anymore, but I used to follow her quite a bit. She was always hardworking, always like seemed to be taking it seriously. she might be more mad, she might be more angry and even more devastating than before, and that's the worry. You know, she could come out and take Delphine Persoon clean out here just through
Yeah,
pure anger at the situation she found herself in. That
absolutely.
does happen.
It does. We'll move on to Persoon. So she's now 39 years old. She's got a record of 49-3. First of all, I can never remember seeing a female boxer with more than 50 fights before. So tip of the hat to Delphine Persoon. She's had a hell of a career. Looking to become a world champion in a second weight division. Yeah. But again, it seems to be a running theme in this show. Inactivity. She's fighting for the first time since the 6th rounder at the back end of last year. At 39 years old, is it too late for her to become a two-time world champion?
It's never too late, Liam. It's never too late, but it's highly unlikely, in my opinion. It's highly unlikely. The only general consensus between the two is Delphine Persoon did beat Christina Linadatu, who actually beat Baumgardner for her only loss, but then obviously Baumgardner avenged that defeat herself.
Last time out, yep.
Yeah.
There's a level of mate. I do think the Persoon that we saw in both fights with Katie Taylor, if she's able to get to somewhere near that level on Friday night, then she gives herself a chance. If she can't, then unfortunately, I think it could be a painful night for her. But we'll move on to a prediction, mate, and I was kind of just giving it away. For me, Baumgardner is going to be too slick, hit too hard for Persoon to deal with. It's coming at the wrong time in Delphine's career. I don't care that Alicia's been out of the ring for 14 months. It's come at the wrong time for Delphine. I think it will be a competitive fight. She'll have her moments in it, and it will go the distance, but Baumgardner will do enough to take a points decision and retain 2 of her belts for me. How about yourself?
Yeah, I'm exactly with you, mate. I think a massive UD for Baumgardner. I think the first maybe 4 rounds will be very competitive. Persoon will come out and give it a go, but the age will start to show. Baumgardner's aggression will come through, and I think she either wins it landslide UD or even could get a late stoppage because she can bank an Alicia. So we'll have to find out, but I'm definitely going for a Baumgardner victory. I'll say UD as my prediction.
Absolutely, mate. So we will move on to the second of our 3 female headliners this weekend. Matchroom's headliner from Sheffield on Saturday night. Rhiannon Dixon and Terry Harper are finally going to get in the ring for the WBO female lightweight world title. Look, this fight should have been in Manchester at the end of August on the Castle Pro Grey card. It should have been chief support in London this weekend to Johnny Fisher. It's now back at Sheffield on their own terms with their name up in lights as the headliners. So firstly, fantastic for these girls who probably spent all summer training for this day to finally get it on in the ring. Yeah. We'll start with Rhiannon Dixon. She's 10-0. She's an Ant Crawler prodigy. Big fan of Ant Crawler. Everything he's done as a boxer and now as a trainer. It's the first defense for a world title that she won this year. For me, though, this is her biggest test as a professional. She's had everything her own way. You only have to look at the scorecards. I think she's lost less than 10 rounds in her 10 fights so far that have gone the distance, and that tells you all you need to know about the level she's operating at, but also the level of opposition she's been in with. For me, if she comes through this fight, then it's unification fights, and obviously the domestic matchup you'd look to make is Caroline Dubois. She's the WBC interim champion. Caroline Dubois could be fully upgraded by the time she fights. You never know. What do you make of Rhiannon Dixon and her career so far?
I really rate her. I really do. I don't want to because I'm a massive, as I said at the start of the show, I'm a massive Terry Belter Harper fan. And I don't want Rhiannon Dixon to beat her, but she is a very, very good fighter. She's only had the 10 fights and she's already beat Carabajal, who's no easy target. She beat Maceo Kate twice, who's a very good fighter. Vida, who beat Liv Hussey recently. She's a decent operator. She won the Commonwealth title against Vicky Williamson. And she beat Vanders as well, So she's a very, very slick operator. But Belter's back down at a weight that suits her. She's back down in an area that suits her. She's headlining. It's not going to be like the Sandy Ryan fight where she was fighting two weights above her usual weight. This time, she's the A side. She's coming to take what's hers. And I'll give you my prediction now, mate. I'm going to go for a Belter win by UD because I can't say anything else. I just can't, even though I love Dixon.
Yeah, no, mate, completely. Love the passion. We all have our fighters that we're going to back to the hills regardless, and Terry's one of those for you, and there's nothing wrong with that. Just touching back on Terry. So she's 14-2-2. Her last 2 fights are a draw and a loss. Obviously, the caveat is up at welterweight against Sandy Ryan. And if we're honest, Steffi Ball pulled her out of that fight after 4 rounds when it was clear the tide was turning. She wasn't allowed to take any more damage. No shame in that at all, but that is the caveat to that fight.
Yeah.
As you've just mentioned, she's moving back down in weight. This is at lightweight. She's a former unified champion, super featherweight, sorry. My concern for this fight is I'm intrigued to see what Harper has left. She's bounced around the weight divisions in recent years since she lost the world titles. What impacts does the bouncing around the weight divisions have? Obviously, she's back at a more natural weight now, but she's campaigned at a higher weight. So how hard has she actually found it getting her body back down to the natural weight? And what does she have left, really? I believe her power is a huge leveler in this fight. She's one of the hardest hitting fighters around and that's men and women's boxing in the lower weight divisions for me. In boxing as a whole, she's one of the hardest hitters around. But I do wonder what the bouncing around in weight has done to her, if I'm being perfectly honest.
It can be difficult, Liam. Yeah, going up and down in weight, it can. But I think she struggled to make the welterweight division. And I think that was the problem versus Sandy Ryan. I think she struggled to be that big. I think this is going to suit her far better. She's going to feel far stronger, far faster. And you're going to see the real belter. You're going to see the real belter Saturday night. And I just hope Belter can get the job done the way that I know she can. Remember, she's only 27. She's been around that long. You think she's 35, wouldn't you? You know what I mean? She's been around that long, but she's only actually 27. She's still a young buck, still got a lot to give to the game, and I believe she will do, starting at the weekend and going on from there.
Yeah, well, we've heard your prediction, mate, which is I can see a path the fight goes that way, but for me, I think Dixon's going to be too sharp and too fresh. She's improving all the time under Ant Crawler. She's still touching what her potential could be. I think her glass ceiling's much higher than this weekend, and that's no disrespect to Terry Harper. That's just where I feel Rhiannon Dixon is. And although Harper's power will be there for the whole 10 rounds and it will be a threat throughout, I think Dixon is going to edge a thoroughly thrilling and very exciting points decision. Maybe a split. I don't think it will be unanimous. It may be a split. That's my views on this fight. But it will be an absolute belter.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a belter, Liam. That's for sure.
And we will move on now to Friday night, our fight, for me, the fight of the weekend. We're going back across Atlantic. We're going to the MSG. It's in the Hulu Theatre there, which is the small room for those of you that don't know. And it is Sandy Ryan of Derby taking on Michaela Mayer for the WBO welterweight world title. As we've just mentioned, Sandy Ryan's last fight came against Terry Harper, where she got a stoppage victory. For me, though, we need to talk about her fight before that, which was the controversial draw against Jessica McCaskill. Obviously, if she got the decision, which I believe she deserved in that fight, then she's a unified welterweight champion, not just defending the one belt. And that's a big thing for me. Obviously, Top Rank are billing this fight as the ultimate betrayal. Sandy Ryan is now being trained by Kay Karma, who is the long-term amateur and professional trainer of Michaela Mayer. So firstly, your thoughts on the change of trainers and obviously it being billed as the ultimate betrayal?
I think it's a bit of a touch. I just think they're just trying to get more views because obviously, you know, the female game in America is not that big. I think they're just using that as a way to, get people involved. They're just trying to create a new narrative because without disrespecting both, Michaela Mayer's a superstar over here, but in America, no one knows her. Nobody knows who she is. You know, unless you're an absolute diehard female hardcore boxing fan in America, she could walk down the street and everyone wouldn't know who she was. So it's just creating a narrative to draw the people in.
Yeah, absolutely. So just picking up on that point, this is Mayer's first fight in America since before she lost to Alicia Baumgardner. So she's built herself back up in the UK. She's fought on a Matchroom card. She have fought on a Queensbury card. She's gone back to boxing to take on Natasha Jonas. So she is more known in the UK than America, which feels weird to say, but that is what we're dealing with here. On the subject of Mayer, she's 19-2. She's a former unified champion at lightweight, as we said. She's coming into this off a razor-thin points loss to Natasha Jonas. If we're being honest, she won that fight for me. I believe that it should have been Anna New that night, if we're being honest. But razor-thin points loss is what it was for her. For the first time, though, she's taken on a career natural welterweight. Natasha Jonas has also moved up in the weights to maximise her opportunities. Sandy Ryan is a natural welterweight. She's always been at that weight. Are we going to see the size difference perhaps play more of a factor than Mayer encountered against Jonas back in January?
We could do. But to be honest, Michaela Mayer's seen it all, hasn't she? She's been through it all. Sandy Ryan is very inexperienced. I know she's got the Harper win and she drew with McCaskill. She lost to Farias, who obviously lost to Mayer. So I don't know. There's just going to be, for me, a level in this fight, and the level is going to be towards Michaela Mayer. And I'm sad to say that, because obviously I want Sandy Ryan to win. Again, she's local to me. I want her to win this fight, but I've just got a feeling that Michaela Mayer is just going to be too classy for her. And I think this could be an absolute one-sided beatdown, to be quite honest.
Yeah, there's room for it to go either way. Sandy Ryan, if she turns up like she did against Jessica McCaskill, then it could go the other way. She could put a complete beat down on Michaela Mayer. It depends what level she's at. Of course, you know, Michaela Mayer is 34 now. She's undoubtedly a higher pedigree, higher level fighter than Sandy Ryan, as we just mentioned. But she's a 2016 Olympian. She had a long and distinguished amateur career. She's now 8 years a professional, former unified champion, as we said, bouncing around the weights. Does she have that dog, that grit, that determination to go to the well one more time against the fighter that still has a lot to prove in the pro game? That is where I'm at in this fight. Sandy Ryan has a massive chip on her shoulder, especially in America, because of what happened against McCaskill. She wants to go over there and show Americans, again, look, I should be the unified champion in this division. Don't worry about what happened before. This is what I can do. It's all about if Mayer wants to go to the world one more time. She has a massive chip on her shoulder after the Natasha Jonas loss. By her own admission, it took her 6 months to get over losing her belts at the OT to Baumgardner. Does she have anything left? That's the question for me.
Yeah. I've just got a feeling Michaela Mayer's going to put it on her. I hope I'm wrong. Like I say, I want Sandy Ryan to win. By all means, I want Sandy Ryan to win. But I've just got a feeling it's going to be Michaela Mayer's night, especially in America. I genuinely do. But we'll find out come the weekend.
So you're going Michaela Mayer, unanimous decision?
I am, mate. Yeah, I am. I think she puts on a bit of a clinic.
Okay, and I will echo your sentiments. I'm a big Sandy Ryan fan. I maintain that she should be a unified champion in this weight division. However, she's not. She's only got the WBO belt going into this fight. And controversial to say, but as Michaela Mayer is the challenger and it's not her natural weight class, this is going to be my upset of the weekend. Michaela Mayer winning the WBO welterweight title is my upset of the weekend. We will hear the words "and the new." I don't think it's going to be as one-sided as you're saying. I think it's going to be a close fight, but I think it's going to be a 6-4, 7-3 kind of fight. The 2 minutes, the 10-2s go so quickly, don't they? But I do think that Michaela Mayer is going to finally get on the right side of the decision after being robbed by the British judges at the start of this year.
Yeah, I agree, mate. I think I might be a bit mad at Sandy. That's why, because she beat Belter. I'm just a little bit angry at her. That's why I'm saying a massive UD. Just a wee bit. But we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Mate, so that wraps it up. That concludes the cross-Atlantic tour of Sheffield, of York Hall, of MSG, of Atlanta in Florida. It's been a pleasure having you on, my friend.
Thank you very much, Liam.
Before we leave, can you give the people your handle on X so they can give you a follow if they're not already?
Yes, it's at Jams Boxing Chat on Instagram and X. Follow me, follow Boxing Media Hub as well. That's where I do most of my stuff. Yeah, thank you very much, Liam. It's been a great show, mate.
Cracking channel, guys. If you're not following Jams or Boxing Media Hub, make sure you go over there. Their content is first rate. From myself, I just want to say a massive thank you to everyone that's watched the first 2 weeks. The views have been through the roof. I'm absolutely taken aback and astounded with how that's gone. Please keep that coming this week. If you like what you see, subscribe to the STBX channel, like the video, and get involved in the comments to let us know your thoughts. My handle on X is at Liam Tully, at Liam_Tully9. I apologize. I'm looking to push towards 500 followers before the end of this year, so any follows that help that will be massively appreciated. I'll be back again at the same time next week. Looking forward to Nick Ball's homecoming in Liverpool, defending his WBA world title. But all that's left to say is thank you very much for watching. Be sure to like, follow, and subscribe. And I will see you again next week. Thank you very much, Shams.
God bless, sir.